So, starting with episode 9, we have now entered into book 11 of Sword Art Online Alicization series, aka SAO Season 3, and it is called Alicization Turning. And if you have seen, I believe, this week's most recent episode, you know why it is turning. So, let's go ahead and just jump into the differences that we find in the book compared to the anime. So the biggest difference that I've noticed in the book compared to the anime so far is that there are a lot of small details. There's a lot of like side trimmings that add depth to what's going on in the current situation, but it kind of doesn't add depth to, hey, let's go save Alice. And from what it seems like so far, that's kind of what they're trying to push towards so that they can get into like the actual like reason why all these things are happening, because I'm sure that there's going to be more things down the road that they want to continue on with. However, the things that are going on right now are still important. They kind of help us realize like, hey, these are the rules that the taboo index say, here are the school rules, but you know, there are also things that you can do. Like Kirito mentioned, he said there are things that the rules say do not say, but you can do them. But then there are things that the rules don't say, and you probably should not do them. So, you know, they said it's that nobleman's justice. You know, it's like, hey, what are my own standards? You know, what is my definition of right and wrong? No matter what the rules say or do not say. And that's kind of a huge point that, you know, they go really, really in depth with that picnic scene with Tiese, Ronnie, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Kirito. They had a lot of depth there, and a lot of different things were being shown, and they were talking about a lot of different things, but it's kind of just for world building and just kind of setting things up to help you understand, like, hey, why is it that it's okay that they do these things? Raios and Humbert, why is it okay that they can do these things and get away with them? And it seems like there's no repercussions. And it's literally because they're finding loopholes around the taboo index and around the school rules. It's like, hey, you know, you told me not to steal. I can't steal anything, right? But let's say I take your items and it goes missing for like 23 hours. As long as I bring it back within 24, I technically never stole it, even if it's a huge inconvenience to you. So things like that are kind of relevant towards the world building. It's like, hey, it's not really the rules itself, and it's not really like certain like don't do this and don't do that. You can actually loophole your way around a lot of things depending on your perspective, and perspective is a huge thing that plays a major part in Alicization. We see that with the rule breaking or rule abiding, and we also see that with the way that I believe Humbert puts his strength into his sword. Like Kirito was saying, you know, it's his conceit, it's his pride, saying like, hey, I'm a nobleman, you're just some mere commoner from the sticks, a country bumpkin, as the book put it. And who are you to even think that you can stand up against me and fight against me? Who are you? And it's his perspective that kind of gives him that strength, his imagination. These two things are extremely huge. We saw that with the previous episode with the flowers, and we see that here with the fighting. So a lot of things are going on that may not add depth to the, hey, let's go get to Alice and let's see what happens with Alice, but a lot of things do add depth from the book that we don't see, that add into the overall enjoyment of the book. And like I said, they are small details, but they do play a huge part later on in the big picture. One thing that I do want to mention is something that I thought was pretty funny, is Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh's rankings. Now, according to their actual swordsmanship, Kirito did rank 4th place, where Yu-Gi-Oh got 5th. But we kind of notice in the anime that is not the case. Kirito is actually the 6th seat, and Yu-Gi-Oh is the 5th seat. Now, the reason why, let me go ahead and get my trusty sword out. The reason why is because of two different things. judged on three things in total. One was their actual swordsmanship, one was the sacred arts, and the second one was the form. And we see, I believe, Raios talking about that, saying like, hey Humbert, check this out, this dude didn't even decide to practice on his form. So, you know, if you hold your sword like this, but you're actually supposed to hold it like this, or, you know, you might be a little bit off one way or the other, that is going to dock you points. So Kirito actually was docked points because, you know, of his form, because, hey, you know, the man's been fighting in SAO his entire, you know, what, 2-3 years that he's been playing these different VR MMOs. Of course, he's going to have his own fighting style. Then on top of that, we also have the sacred arts. Like I said, those are going to be the different type of English words that we say that are sacred words. Now, I'm not too sure how they get into that with their magic and such. Book doesn't really say like, oh, well, he didn't say these words, or he didn't know how to do this or that or the other. It just says that, hey, he didn't score that well in the form, and he didn't score well in the sacred arts, and it kind of got him bumped down, which it was unfortunate, but actually being placed 5th and 6th was perfect for those two. Now, another thing that I thought was really cool is how they actually decided to choose their pages. The way that it works is, if you get first place, you get to pick the first page. You know, you get to pick out of the first 12 people who your page is going to be. Then you go, the second gets the second pick, third pick, so on and so forth. Well, Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh decided, hey, we don't want to pick at slot 5 and 6. We'll take the last two. They kind of did it to be like, you know, let all the disciples pick who they want, and then we're going to take the two that don't want to be chosen. The book does specifically state that Yuji was extremely happy to grab Tiese as his page, and then the book is also like, you know, Kirito was basically happy too. You know, they ain't gonna complain. They were extremely happy to get those two as their pages, and everything was going pretty smoothly as it could go. The only thing that was kind of funny is that these two girls actually caused them a lot of discomfort. It's one thing to have a page that, you know, does this and does that and all these other things, but then you turn around and they're female, and it's like, well, this is kind of an awkward spot for both Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh, because it's like, hey, let me help you out with that. You know, I feel bad burdening you with this. And you see that where they're always like, hey, just call me Kirito or just call me Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, don't worry about it. You know, you're off duty now. Don't call me elite disciple, such and such. Like, they try to make it very formal, and that's what the picnic was there for. It was just to give them a little friendship bonding time. Everything else, in the anime was good. Definitely didn't stray too far. If anything, the only part that I was a little bit upset about was where Yu-Gi-Oh and Kirito go into talking to Raios and Humbert. Now, the first thing that I noticed in the book is that when they go to knock on the door, Humbert answers, and he's like, oh, what a surprise. You know, you didn't put in a request to come visit us. Why are y'all here? And, you know, Raios, being Raios, the number one seat, he's extremely generous, and he's like, oh man, don't worry about it, let them come in. What do they got to say? Blah, blah, blah. Why are they here? And then the actual battle of words starts. So then it starts. In the anime, they cut it super short. Hey, we heard that you were talking, that you were doing some bad things, and your name is on the line, and, you know, we just want to come here and tell you, oh, well, we don't really know what it is that you're doing, but yeah, just be careful. You know, the end. You know, it was a very short, very quick little scene, and it was like bam, 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 where in the light novel, they had time to really draw it out, and you really get to see Raios be very crafty. He would say, oh, well, you see, this is what we were doing, blah, blah, blah. Are you saying that we were doing something else? And he was trying to lead Yu-Gi-Oh into these different types of traps. We see a few episodes ago where Kirito flung some dirt onto Volvo Leventain's shirt, and he got, you know, a pretty big punishment. You know, you got to go mano-a-mano, you know, with a real sword. So they were trying to plot out something to get that maximum punishment and hope that Yu-Gi-Oh would fall into some trap of saying like, Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And, I'm going to make sure y'all get in trouble and I'm going to badmouth y'all and all these little things. Now, it could have been something just as insignificant. But, that dirt on the shirt was kind of insignificant too. You can wash it right out. Boom, you're done. Hey, I'm sorry, my bad, fam. But he took it to the next level. That's what these two are trying to do. They're trying to trap Yu-Gi-Oh into saying something that he shouldn't say, so that way they can get that maximum punishment and let Humbert get back at Yu-Gi-Oh for drawing a duel, or for getting a draw in the duel. So, aside from the picnic scene where we got a lot more depth towards that conversation, and aside from the scene in the dormitory or the bedroom of raios and Humbert, those were the two things that, we kind of lost a lot of meat from. But in the overall picture, it's just little details on the outside of the picture. It doesn't really stick to that, hey, where is Alice? Let's get to Alice. We got to save Alice. What's up with her? It doesn't really get to any of that. So it's kind of left in the dust. I personally enjoyed it a lot. I thought that it was something that was really cool from the light novel, and it just added that nice little spice, the little flavor, the little icing on the cake is what I thought this little portion added. Now, like I said, wasn't anything super big, but I thought that these were two things that were really interesting. I don't plan on getting every single little part right. I don't plan on, getting every detail that the anime misses out on. Only the things that I find interesting, and I may even mess up like, hey, this was said, but it was actually later down the road or something like that. So I do apologize if I did miss something that was extremely huge or extremely interesting to you. If I did, let me know down in the comment section below. But as far as this book is concerned, we're I'd say about 40% of the way through. Episode 9 takes this much of the entire book, so we still have all of this to go through. But just kind of judging off of what we already see, we're going to be flying through this book as well. I'm kind of curious where they're going to slow things down, but that's all I have for this episode 9 of Season 3, Sword Art Online Alicization. Thank you so much for watching. Much love, God bless, and peace out.